Hey, what's up everybody? TechChucker here, and today I've got a review for you of the Neca Toys Predator 2 Ultimate Armored Lost Predator. Now, I am super excited to have this thing. Wasn't really planning on finding it when I did. I was at Target, and I just happened to randomly come across it, and I was like, hey, I gotta have this thing. So I grabbed it, got it home, and I gotta say, this thing is pretty darn awesome. But let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and crack this thing open and take a closer look. All right, right out the gate, I gotta say the sculpt and paintwork on this thing is absolutely amazing. I love the green and red. Kind of gives you a little bit of a Christmas feel, and I really like it. And I also really like the slight bluish tinge that you get on a lot of these armored pieces. We've seen that that kind of dry brushing that on others, and I always really like that a lot. NECA is very, very good at the armor and extra pieces that they add on. Now this appears to be pretty much the same sculpt that we've seen on all of the arms, torso, and all of that, but the armor pieces are where they kind of change it up a little bit. One thing that I'm not always a huge fan of is the fact that the shoulder pads, they are connected on the bicep rather than on the shoulder, but at least there's a strap to make it look as though that is the way that it is supposed to be, and maybe really that is the way that their armor is. There are lots of little hoses throughout, so be careful that you don't pull on those, especially back here. There's several hoses, and then there's another one up here also, which is pretty darn cool. This scabbard, however, is one of my favorite pieces. I don't know that I've seen any other Predators, at least not in my collection, that have a scabbard like this. That is really impressive. We've got the paint and the bluish all throughout. The paintwork on here is amazing. There's so many cool details, so I'm not really I don't really care that they reuse the sculpt on these figures because they add so much extra uniqueness, be it with the paint and the armor pieces, that using a standard buck like this, totally fine with me. The feet look awesome. I mean, everything about this thing just looks so cool. And the fact that, wow, this is so cool. I just really dig it. And as far as his height goes, he is coming in at pretty well the standard height for a Predator, just a hair over 8 inches. And then let's do some side-by-side comparisons. We've got him with the Alpha Predator here. Alpha Predator is coming in just a hair taller. You can see he's got his knee bent just a little bit, so he is a little taller, which for an Alpha, I think you should be taller. And then we've got Deadpool in here, and I honestly think that would be a really cool crossover, is to have Deadpool in with the Predators, because I think there are a lot of jokes that could easily go in between the two of those. That would be amazing. But you can see, obviously, they tower over the Marvel Legends 6-inch series, which you would expect. These are 7-inch scale figures, but how cool is that? That is a very nice proportion. Let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation on this thing. As always, NECA does a very nice job with the articulation on these things because it is a reused sculpt for the most part. All of the articulation is pretty well what we'd expect. His head is on a ball peg, and he has a really good range of motion. He can look up that far, which is awesome. He can look almost all the way down, which is also really nice. He can look side to side. There's no issues with that. And then he has great range of motion when it comes to tilting. I am super impressed with how they do that ball peg every single time. Down in the shoulders, he has a ball joint, ball hinge, and he can get his arm out about that far. Be careful with, no, that's one of his hair dreads. I thought I broke the hose. Be careful, because there's a hose at both of these shoulders, so you do not want to break those unless you want to have a broken figure, of course, which is duh. Okay, where am I going with that? He can rotate his arm all the way. There is no problem with that because there aren't any hoses connected to the arm. Very good. I like that. There is an upper bicep swivel, but you will notice because of this plate here, it can look a little funky. But whatever. He has double jointed elbows, and those give him a pretty good range of motion. But these little cuffs will get in the way, so you might not be able to get it all the way every time, but they do rotate as well, which is kind of nice. In the wrists, we have a peg, and a hinge, and we get really good range of motion there. Make sure you hit everything with some heat before you start manhandling these figures, because they can tend to break. In the torso, we have what I believe to be a ball joint, maybe a double ball joint, and he actually has really good range of motion for that ab crunch. And then you add in the waist, and he can crunch forward quite a bit. I really like that a lot. And then he can arch his back. That's quite good as well. Really pleased with that. And then he also can kind of side to side crunch quite a bit, which is awesome. And then he can twist also. Down in the hips, he has the standard NECA, what would it be, T-jointed ball joints. And he can do the splits pretty close to entirely, which is awesome. And then there is a swivel at the thigh. This one is completely frozen, so I can't get that one to do anything, but he can kick forward an okay amount. It's not great. He can kick back a little bit. This is frozen as well. I've been hitting it with heat and it just won't go. Down in the knees, he's got double jointed knees. Those work pretty good. He does not have the swivel at the knee or at the shin. And then he has those ball joints in the ankles, and those are okay. It's not great. It swivels, it kind of twists, but you know, it's okay. So overall, articulation, as always, very, very solid. As far as accessories go, he doesn't come with a massive number of accessories, but the accessories he gets are very, very cool. And I highly recommend that you find out a little bit more about the biography of this character. Even if you just read the back of the box, it's very intriguing. But first things first, he comes with this massive sword. I mean, this thing is super long. It's probably, it's over 3 inches long. It's got to be, it is just past 5 inches long. That is amazing. And it's got a black blade with a red edge, which is super cool. And then the handle itself is actually painted with a bit of that iridescent bluish look. There's a little bit of silver. There is some really nice paint apps on here. And then this actually fits right into the scabbard on his back, which is awesome. It goes, you're going to want to just go with that direction. It doesn't go in the other way, but that is a really, really cool accessory. I like that one a lot. He also comes with his, I believe people call this a shuriken. It is a throwing star. That's what they call it on the back of the box. This is really, really well done. The sculpt on here now, it feels a little delicate, so you would want to be careful that you don't break it, but these blades are painted very nicely. There's a little bit of paint app on the middle portion. It is not articulated in any way, which is fine by me, but this thing is super cool. And then he also comes with 3 additional hands, kind of a slightly more open hand, and then a tight gripping hand for what would be his right hand, and then a little bit looser of a gripping hand for his left hand. And that one holds the sword considerably better. This one is much tighter. You're not going to get that sword in there, so you're probably going to either use this hand to kind of hold this, or you're going to use this hand to hold this one, but that's still pretty loose, so you're going to have a harder time with that. And then lastly, he comes with 2 additional head sculpts. So we've got the closed mouth one here, and then we have an open mouth one, which is really cool. I really dig this one a lot. I mean, look at all the detail on here. NECA is always so good with the detail on their Predator figures. But then what's even cooler is he comes with this helmeted version as well, and it has an LED light up. So we pull this little battery protector thing out, and we should be able to turn it on. Now, it comes with a set of instructions here. Remove the top section of the helmet. Pull the clear tab out. Well, I already did that wrong. Return the top of the section of the Predator head mask, and then press the button. So I kind of did that in the wrong steps, but there is this little button. I wonder if I got some of the plastic stuck in there. I bet you I didn't get it all off of there. I think I pulled the battery out a little bit. So that it looks like there's 2 little tiny watch batteries in there. Let's pop that back on. Hopefully my batteries aren't already dead. Oh, look at that. It's lit up. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on the camera. That is so cool. So overall, I am really pleased with this figure. It's definitely a big surprise to me. I was not expecting to find it, let alone find it as cool as I do. So there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, hit that like button, hit the bell notification if you haven't already. Leave a comment below. What do you think of this figure? And I will see you in the next video.